Okay, we are live on Facebook with this beautiful, amazing Dakini, Leslie Grace, such a beautiful name. Leslie wholeheartedly believes in the goodness of the human spirit and in the transformational potential of sexuality to unlock our innate wisdom, power, and love. She's a somatic sex and intimacy coach, tantric practitioner, as well as the founder of Ritual Tantra. She used to be a registered nurse with years of experience in end-of-life care, and she is now a medicine guide working with expanded states of consciousness. Leslie is trained in the Hakomi method of somatic psychotherapy and believes this tender human body is the gateway to our greatest healing and the discovery of our deepest truths. Ooh, I have shivers listening to that. So beautiful. That's right. It's so true.
Yeah,
And Leslie and I did one of our first Tantra trainings together, and along with Matt Sturm and Trevor Getzla, who have also been on here. So we were in this like Tantric Disneyland. It was so sweet. And we both, we met and we've gone on to both do our own work and become really embodying that Dakini spirit. So Leslie, tell me, what do you feel is the spirit of the Dakini?
Yeah, so so in our tantra sexuality world, our tantric communities, we use this term Dakini a lot to refer to female practitioners, women who are sort of embodying this awakened sexuality, this empowerment, and that really wish to be of healing benefit to the world. But the original origins of this word, this is a Sanskrit term that goes back to Tibetan Buddhism and refers to really enlightened female energy. Like it refers to high female practitioners who have attained high states of awareness and enlightenment, and that their presence in the world really brings that enlightening energy with them where they go. So so I want us to remember, where this comes from, and that this energy is really about awakening. Yes, it's about empowerment and having fun and being in the body and playful sexuality and all of that, but it's really about how do we use our full selves, our bodies, our love to be a source of awakening for others.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about how that actually looks in real life.
Yeah, I mean, so so women who are, so first of all, this is considered a feminine energy, but it defies gender labels. So, so men also can embody this Dakini energy, which is really about bringing the feminine back into our world. And this, this energy can be, both something that women who are doing work around sexuality can embody this energy. Sex workers, sexuality coaches, tantra practitioners, sex educators, anyone who's doing work around awakening energy. And also women can be embodying this Dakini energy in their own lives. I mean, I would say that I was connecting with this kind of like loving, feminine, awakening energy in my personal life, and really bringing that to my loverships and connections in my personal life before I ever thought about doing this professionally. So I want to kind of put a little plug there that like all women can really embody this energy and use it to benefit their lives and their intimate partnerships.
I love that. So what would be some examples of how women in general can just embody this in their own life?
Yeah, totally. First I want to give a quote from one of my teachers, Shakti Milan, about this, and it can maybe describe a little bit more, and then I can go on to give some of my own.
Beautiful, yes,
definitions. Please. Okay, so Shakti Milan, she was a fantastic, just incredible teacher who really, kind of straddled these worlds of classical tantra and neo tantra. She says, Dakini is a Tibetan word for a woman who teaches the deep mysteries of tantra. Her sexuality in her whole being is devoted to the divine existence and to your awakening. She uses the power of the feminine, including feminine sexuality, to shatter illusions and bring the client closer to the truth of who he or she is.
Mm.
Being a Dakini is a deep calling that takes a lifetime of preparation, as the Dakini's own being is the main vehicle through which the catalyzing happens.
Mm.
By doing her own inner work, the Dakini becomes able to accurately read and potently respond to the awareness needs of the client. For that, she uses both ordinary and extraordinary perception and abilities.
I'm so in love with that, and it actually brought tears to my eyes. It like literal tears like were welling up because yeah, just being on this path, it's so powerful. And it, for me, it was never something I chose. It absolutely chose me.
Mm.
And I feel that so many people that are in this work, I mean, let's face it, there are a lot of like sexual healers and tantric massage therapists who are really just in it to get some money, and it, there, that does exist.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, it's empowering. You get to be kind of in that position of power. There's a lot of other aspects to it that can be appealing for sure.
Uh-huh. And it's really good to feel like in that core of your being that spirit lives. I feel that spirit certainly lives in the core of my being, and it had to come out.
How did it first come out for you? How did that happen?
Well, I was a therapist for a really long time. I'd already been a therapist and I was already helping people on so many different levels. I was a nutritionist, emotional, stress, everything. And I was also doing body work.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed how many people, it's like I could feel this deficit of, we were leaving out the wholeness of someone because it was like, this isn't the right thing to do, or that's not what we're supposed to do, is really go there into their sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided to start going there. And when I did, it wasn't like, it was like, oh, I remember jumping on some couches and being like, wow, this is my life purpose. Like, this is, I'm home, I'm doing my thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like freaking powerful for me. Yeah. How
And
about you?
I think that sexuality has been so demonized in our culture. Although we're like strangely obsessed with it, we're also kind of like this like taboo thing that's wrong or this or that. So bringing back a really wholesome approach to sexuality, a really like really linking sexuality with the heart and with a sense of wisdom and like rightness and wholeness. I mean, I feel like this is healing that everyone needs. And I know for me, I was raised Catholic, and I had the whole shame guilt thing around sex, and too before I got into this work, I was helping people. I was a registered nurse working in hospice, end of life care, and and it was really helping. But I also felt like, wow, I want to be helping people who are ready to live now and be alive and be like really going for it. And it seemed like sexuality was one of the major ways that people hold themselves back.
Yeah.
And that apparently I was holding myself back in some way there.
Mm.
One of my first, I did a ISTA training probably in 2013 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and the first time that I witnessed a lingam massage ritual that my teacher Triambaka was guiding, it's like I watched her just like step straight into this role, and she was just became the channel for this energy, and it was palpable in the room. It was like, oh wow, like yes, like she's a magnificent woman, but she kind of like stepped aside and let this other thing come through her that was guiding her, that was teaching the client, that was harmonizing their system. And I was like, oh wow, this is about so much more than helping someone feel like free in their body and feeling more pleasure and all that. Like this is about like feeling like free to be who they are. Like, oh thank God, like that these pieces can be integrated. be allowed and welcomed. And so I was just like, oh yeah, I got that. You know, like I was like, I just got the transmission straight from her. Like I absolutely know how to do this.
Mm-hmm. I always say that the core of what I'm doing is holding a shame-free container for people to come home to themselves. Yeah. And
Yeah.
and
It's like unconditional love. Like, yeah, you're good. Yeah, what you want is good. Yeah, what you
yeah.
feel, what you desire, what you, yeah, fears
Mm,
you have. Yeah, let's be with those.
just giving permission.
Mhm.
And how that also impacts other women. I feel like having a Dakini spirit, I've had so many women, endless women, like many women telling me like, oh, I give them permission.
Yeah. Like, thank you for being that, for expressing that, for not being afraid of yourself. And
Yes, yes. And and then how would you say that we can like so there is with clients there and the client work can be actual physical touch,
mm-hmm.
sexual touch.
Mm-hmm.
There's also sacred, like back in the temples, people were also like sleeping with men
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a
Yeah.
part of
Oh
sex
yeah.
rituals
I
and
mean,
healing.
awakened sex work is like, wow, there's a whole, I mean, not every sex worker, I would say, embodies this Dakini energy, but I think many do. Like really, like many of them really are bringing their full heart and their full like intention to be of service and to help to elevate this client's consciousness, to help them see the beauty of the feminine and to help them learn how to relate to it more in a better way. So
Yes,
there's a lot of different practitioners in different realms that are tapping into the same force, the
the
same
same frequency. It's
stream of energy.
being this channel. And that is what, to me, ecstatically alive, that's what I feel. I hope I've been saying this whole week is how we can go beyond just our human self, our human dramas. You know, we all have our stuff going on, especially now. I don't know anyone who's not at least occasionally getting hit by some
Mhm.
some crazy frequencies of, what is currently going on in our planet. But if we can be with ourselves and simultaneously open to another more powerful, well, infinite power, the infinite power of the universe, and say yes to allowing that energy to flow through us. And so that can be anything from sex work to any kind of therapy.
Oh gosh, and I mean, and again, and people absolutely can bring this into their own lives. I mean, this is, with this that spaciousness you were talking about a minute ago, that like opening up to the force of the divine in your life, or the full energy that's available to you, this unleashing this life force in you. It's like creating a lot of space in your being where you're available to another person, where you're available to all of who you are, and you're available to really receive the other person, and to help to like hold them, in ways that maybe they don't know how to hold themselves yet. So I think one of the hallmarks of this Dakini energy is a real like embrace and celebration of sexual energy and desire and that life force, and then also just a deep communing in the heart and a deep sense of like well-being and goodness that you want to share with another. And so we get to kind of be like I call it like an erotic adaptogen, where you get to kind of hold these two poles. I mean, this is what I think like conscious sexuality is all about, bringing together like power and desire and like the sexuality and this intensity with the heart, and so finding a harmony there. And so the Dakini is someone who has spaciousness to hold both. And so maybe she encounters a lover in her life, or a client who is really like tuned in on the heart level and super sweet and really devoted, but like really isn't tapped into that animalistic intensity, right? And maybe through her presence she can kind of be like, yes, I meet you in the heart, I celebrate that beauty to you, that reverence. And I want to feel a little bit of your fire. Like you have permission to like let that part out and play. Like it's safe for you to let that part out. You know, she can kind of like, she sort of provokes. She like invites. She like invites that energy to be danced with and played with. Or if there's a lover who kind of, you know, or someone's kind of coming on a little strong in that dimension, they're kind of like, you know, they know what they want. They're kind of more that alpha masculine energy, and they, you know, they feel confident there, but then maybe they're not as tuned in to their own heart, or not as subtly aware and attuned to the woman's energy or what she's really wanting. So maybe it's her role then to kind of like meet that big energy and be like, yeah, and I need you to slow down and come this way. And actually, it's going to be a lot better if we do some like meditation. It's her role to like shape and to kind of balance those forces. And she does so skillfully and playfully that the person's like, oh my gosh, that's exactly where I wanted to go anyway.
And doesn't feel shamed and bad and wrong.
No, it's just like a, hey, by the way, you could come over this way and it could be really fun.
Uh-huh. Ooh.
Yeah. So I want to really encourage all the listeners to recognize your power, like just that, you know, your vision about awakened sexuality, about how you want to be in relationship, in loverships, how you want to be connected with, like that your vision for that is powerful, and that you know, you don't have to go along with what somebody else is, you know, trying to do the way that they want to do it. You know, it's a co-created experience. So your lovers want to meet you in those mysterious realms that are going on within your mind and your body and your being. Like they want to be invited into that world. And so I really want to give you encouragement to step up and harness some of that power and be like, actually, they, you know, let me get them on my wavelength. This is going to be really great for both of us.
Yeah, because there's a lot of the men maybe have a lot of programming around what sexuality can look like.
Oh, much programming.
So much programming about what sexuality should.
They're confused. Like all these clients come to me and they're like, I don't know what women want. I don't know how to do it. I'm always getting rejected, and I don't know what to, you know, they want to know what.
Okay, so I want to hear from you. If a man comes to you and say, I'm getting rejected and I don't know what to do, where do you begin?
Well, I begin with that, like finding out where is he on this polarity, like where, how balanced are these elements within him. And in my practice, I work with a lot of nice guys who are like heart-centered, but like they're not owning their passion, they're not owning their fire. So a lot of times it's about me like helping them get into that playfulness, that intensity, that desire, and letting it be okay. Other times it's about like, you know, tuning and slowing down and connecting the piece of the heart in there. So it just depends. A lot of couples that I work with, couples will show up often with this, like, you know, the classic story is that the couple isn't having as much sex as, you know, either of them would like. And usually it's not that the female partner wants less sex, it's that she wants like better sex. You know, she wants like connected, juicy, like full spectrum sex. And sometimes she doesn't quite know yet how to be that Dakini, how to invite that, what she's wanting. So I have to kind of like teach her, like, hey, your instincts are right on, sister, but we got to, like, you know, kind of give you the permission to ask for what you're wanting, and like, and kind of like, you know, give your partner a chance to meet you there.
I'm feeling so inspired. Let's talk about these nice guys.
Yeah.
Tell me where you would start with the nice guys.
Nice.
So many nice guys out there.
Love you, nice guys. Good job.
And you know, I've noticed over the years that, you know, there are some men who are not particularly good looking. They're not particularly, you know, what you would consider like the hottest hunk, but they've got a swirl of women around them all the time.
They got the vibes.
They know how to be with women. How can we get men, how can we give them a little nugget for anyone who's watching this? On behalf of the women too, because women, this is so what we're wanting.
I know. I mean, first of all, I feel like men have to have a positive, healthy relationship with their own sexuality before a woman is going to want to meet them in it. You know, if a guy is walking around the world with that kind of like hungry for sex thing, and he's kind of like, you know, some of this, it's really off-putting to women. And I know that that's a challenging position for anyone to be in. So instead of like that, like, how am I going to get fulfilled and how am I going to get my desires met? I would really encourage these guys to like first work on creating a positive connection with your own sexuality. So whether that's through a conscious self-pleasure practice that maybe you do it daily, and maybe you're like, you know, stroking that lingam and breathing and feeling your heart and tuning in, like the more that a man can get connected with his own energy and really feel that like positivity of it flowing, that like invigorating his body, invigorating his life, and like a woman's gonna like, she's gonna notice, she's gonna be like, oh wow, something's going on with this person, right? It's like really like learning how to celebrate that energy in oneself, whether you have a lover in your life or not.
And embodiment practices, so also like self-pleasuring, but also things like qigong and yoga and breathing, just being in the body.
Anything that's going to tap you into that like internal, subconscious interconnectedness of our being. I mean, the body is where it's all at, right? So all of our blocks, all of our tensions, all of our wounding around sexuality, all of our shame, all those belief systems, like it's all held in the body, and people can feel that, right? So in the same way that, you know, it's not so much about what a guy does in bed or something, it's more about like how he's embodying himself, right? And that just like takes a lot of inner work, right? To face those blocks and, you know, move through those limits and find that power. And
yes,
and a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and I salute all the men out there that are doing the work.
Thank you.
And I really want to talk about how the spirit of Dakini is also, it's fuel. What I keep saying about, like, for me, what being ecstatically alive is, it's beyond penises and pussies. It's being fueled by sexual energy for the purpose of actual awakening. To me, that's what being ecstatically alive, fully in the body, fully sexually alive. But it's the mission is deeper than just like being in the bedroom having sex.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, how do we get to be more of ourselves? How do we get to be more comfortable in our own skin? How do we find more peace within our being? You know, that level of personal cultivation, like that's what you bring to a partnership. That's what you bring to a lovership. That's what you transmit as you walk down the street every day. People can feel that radiance that you are, right? Or they can feel the tensions and the tightness that you're still carrying around, that you're working with, you know. And like, how can we like come home into the body, welcome what's here, make room for it, make room to like hold ourselves in it, or find, you know, a skilled therapist or counselor or guide to hold us in those places, and just like keep making peace, keep integrating, keep opening, right? It's like this, there's like, we always talk about the two different wings of the path of growth. There's like the healing wing, right? Like how do we move through the blocks and the stagnations and the shame and the traumas, and then how do we focus on our awakening into more aliveness, more pleasure, more beauty, more love, right? Like how do we unleash that which like really wants to live through us as that divine spark? How do we make room for that in us? And it's like we're just constantly going back and forth between like, okay, like what do I need to let go of? What's my ego holding on to? What am I, okay, toss that out. Okay. Whew, more life, more love, more being.
And sometimes I can feel like, oh my gosh, I totally, like, you made it to the pleasure side, like I'm in my bliss, and then like
in a little while, it'll like you'll find it
like, oh shit.
it's like shoots and ladders, you know, it's like this is
Yeah.
it's not a linear
Mhm.
path. And
Not a linear path, but such a beautiful one. And when we really claim that this is what we're doing here, we don't really know why. We will never really understand fully why it is the way that it is. But for whatever reason, us humans are have to go through a whole bunch of shit in order to break out of the mud and into the flower and then back in the shit and
it's like, what places in myself am I still having trouble loving?
yes,
You
that's
know,
core.
and I beat myself up all the time and I try to be a better person and all those things, but it just comes down to like, where in me am I not willing to love and make space for? All these
Yes.
old parts, all these like young parts, they just need some love.
We just need so much love. And so the Dakini is there. What I feel again, this energy of I am here to hold a shame free container for people to have permission to be themselves. I
Yeah.
want to just write that all over myself.
She's like, the key is like unconditional love. She is celebration. She is nurturing. She's like, she's like, she provokes. She like incites. She's like kind of a rascal, you know. She's like, she like wants to shake things up, right? She wants to like rally you into your freedom, right? There's like so many different facets of it, right? Like so many different aspects of that we each need at different times, right? Or sometimes all simultaneously. Like I need to be held and I need to be like poked and been like, Leslie, wake up, you know. So it's like we need all these different facets of this feminine intelligence to be
Yes.
alive in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. As women, we are being called, I feel more and more to step the F up.
Yeah.
Step up into like being that guide for the world because the world really needs it. We
Yeah.
need to be
Whether you're being that guide for your partner in your partnership, whether you're being that guide to your children, whether you're being that
yes.
guide in your office community, and you need to like take a stand for your own intuitive knowing, you know, whether
Mm.
it's your profession to guide people in these ways and these embodied ways and these ways of the heart, you know, there's so many different ways that this energy is needed now, and everybody can bring it into their life in the way that's right for them.
I love that. Yes. Yes. And I love watching you bringing it into your life and into the world. And so stoked to have this conversation with you, babe. And
So fun.
yeah,
I love it.
yeah, it's so important. It's like, it's kind of like simple and it's been good for me too. Because if I hadn't had you on, I wouldn't have really like connected so consciously with okay, what am I really like on that level, the ecstatically alive. This is the Dakini summit of the
Mm-hmm.
Dakini.
Right, right. Well, and I don't want to leave the men out of it, so I do want to mention we've been talking a lot about the feminine here, feminine
Uh-huh.
energy.
Yeah.
But I do want to mention that like men as well can be that guide for their partners, right? For
Mhm.
they can welcome their woman into more of her aliveness, into more of her vulnerability, right? Like guys can also be that inspiring healing force for others. So so just
Mm.
to, you know, we've been speaking about the feminine, but everyone has this capacity to be that healing force in the world.
And the male name is Daka.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And there's in some ways it's more controversial. The Daka is more controversial than the
Certainly with the
Dakini.
hands-on healing realm, definitely, definitely.
But for men who are just really channeling that spirit through and it's through creativity. I've seen a lot of men on Facebook lives since all of this has happened, just in their little area, their room or whatever, just playing music for people, DJs, you know, playing their music. And I felt that special tapped in desire to give.
Yeah.
Like that's really the spirit of the Daka is like tapped into the universe with a deep desire to transmit and bless the world with
Totally.
their energy.
Like how to be of service,
How to
right?
be
How to celebrate others, how to make women feel safe in the world, how to teach other brothers how to show up in a good way. There's so many different ways that men can show up with that kind of healing force, and so don't want to discount any of those ways.
Nope. Men are, yeah, all of us are being called to tap into the universe and bring those frequencies. Bring it. Yo, bring your soul, bring
it.
Bring yourself, yes, to this journey. Yay.
Yeah, babe.
So good to have you on here.
So glad to be here.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the final day of your summit.
Final day. And yes, and I would love to catch up with you personally. And how can people call you or get a hold of you?
Totally. People can stay in touch with me by going to ritualtantra.com. And if you put your email in there, you'll get my free gift about the 10 tips to outrageous tantric sex.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, yummy, yummy, yummy. Okay, awesome. And next up we have Tobin, who I've just heard of was your inspiration getting into this work. So yeah, stay tuned for Tobin. He is like our finale, and I put him there for a reason because he's just so yummy. So okay.
We can
Yes, exactly. Talk about the DACA.
Oh yeah. Love you, Shezza.
Okay, love you, babes.